it all gets lost.
That's the whole point of Klal Yisrael is not to lead you.
Right.
Yeah, but you can.
You have to be able to hold both.
Also, the issue of, like you were saying before, that like people, like you were saying, like everybody has to replace that part of the cloud. A lot of the issues that you're talking about, like that different classes living together, because it's hard for people, and it's rightfully so. People to accept sometimes their place,
Right.
Yeah.
or you don't realize it to be, because you're not whole. You know, there are a lot of different things.
A lot of pressure.
Yeah.
And I was going to say it's confusing for kids, but it's just as confusing for adults. For bigger kids.
So like middle class America typically lives with the middle class, and then like
Always
the neighborhoods are always.
Always the case.
Right. But I'm not used to that.
Even
And they go to the local public school.
in the
Yeah.
the public schools are very
Blue collar, right? All
yeah
that. Everything.
they're similar. Although my wife who grew up in Arizona, right? She had everything. Yeah, it was different there. They literally had everything.
You're going there, so again?
Yeah.
You're going with her year?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's really crazy. Just commenting.
Because we're just there, like.
Yeah. Especially because my foot got stabbed.
Which one?
When I was just on
How long were you there for?
3 weeks.
We were there for 3 weeks.
Yeah, I got snowed in. I was supposed to come home on Monday.
Get snowed in more space.
We got snowed in, and the earliest flight we could get out was Wednesday, which was a stopover, which kind of spent Thursday night, and then for a straight, which was Thursday night. And you're like, Thursday night, we'll come back Sunday.
Right. Yeah. That's cool.
Right, it is. So. I really appreciate the extra time.
So nice. How big?
6 degrees.
Six is good. Just when it gets to 7, 6, 7. It's confused. All right, everybody. Ugh.
Still don't understand.
Huh?
Still don't understand.
It's over.
That's the point.
I still
Let's talk about points. Oh gosh, what is this? We are.
But there are 3-year-old kids who say it.
Yeah, because they get it.
They do?
Huh?
They do get it?
Yeah. Because they're that age. You have to be that age to get it. You get it? They still don't get it.
You guys have no das.
Ah, now we're talking. So what kind of no das? Is no das big das or no das is bad? It's kind of where we're holding the sugya, no? Okay.
That is everything.
Depends. Is it no das sheba no das or it's no das sheba das?
Is it no das with a K?
There's always a K in no. Okay. That okay? Do I always say okay when I start? Someone told me that. Okay. I think something like that. All right. Okay. So we're in Sugya Das. It's going to be a little bit of a rough one for me. The whole winter's been rough, but okay. It's a shame. You'll hear what you hear. I'll say what I'll say. So the Chavos Levov is here, as we've been discussing for a while, the progress of trust. That's the way the Kos That's how they, on 241, that's how they, coined it, the progress of trust through a child, baby, was absolutely no das at all, total reliance on the mother, to the point that they don't even know anything. That's the level of, that's the lowest level. Baby doesn't, it just has instincts, doesn't know anything. Then as the child gets a little older, comes to some level of understanding, can ask the mother for things. When they can, first they cry, then they ask, then they start to rely on the father, who has maybe more power in certain ways, and on as the child grows in his own das and his own understanding, he then starts to try to become more independent. He wants to do things on his own. He usually spills the milk a few times, a little bit of apple juice, and the parents have to kind of let go. It's hard, but the kid wants to become independent. And they become stronger, and they become smarter, and they become more capable. But part of that das at a certain point, although they have certain capabilities, whatever that may be, whether it's strength, whether it's wisdom, whether it's some kind of job, whatever it may be, as they grow, they understand that they can't do all of life by themselves. They do need help from the outside. They do need help from whether it's from their parents or from friends or from some business partners or from a rebbe. They understand that they have to rely. This is what they're holding. Through their das, they understand that they can't rely on their own kochos only because they're limited. So therefore, they need to expand their abilities by relying on other people. Right? This is how life goes. I don't know why this thing is hurting me in my body. I have to go to the doctor and rely on his expertise for him to tell me why, and then I have to rely on him to tell me what the medication is, and then, right, so on and so forth, and all types of examples in life. The problem is that when a person, as we discussed last week, I think towards the end, is that when we're now we have das, now we're smart people, and we're so smart that we know that we are limited, and therefore we have to go to outside people to help us. The problem is, this is really where things break down, is that when we rely on other people, that's the problem. To do hishtadlus, go to a doctor, do hishtadlus and go to a business partner, to do hishtadlus and speak to somebody, to do hishtadlus, and sometimes you need an emotional connection, whether it's with a spouse, whether it's with a friend. To do hishtadlus in the larger scheme of hishtadlus that we've discussed, that's totally fine. Because hishtadlus doesn't mean that you rely on that person. Reliance always has to be on HaKadosh Baruch Hu, because people are limited. If I'm limited, and now I'm looking to another person to rely on because I am unable in this situation, I need this person to help me. But just think logically. He's also limited. He also has his abilities. He also has his motivations. He might promise me the world, but he has something else that he has another allegiance to, and even though he promised me he's going to take care of me, he's going to work with me, sometimes, people choose to go another way. And if we rely on other people, then we're limited, and we are deficient, and we are in for a world of pain, potentially. Where it could be in a world for, right, it's really emotional pain that we're discussing. The external stuff, that's not the point, right? You lose money because you trusted in an investment idea, or you relied on this person for emotional support, like we were discussing last week, and they did not provide for you what you expected of them. And therefore you lost a friend. You said, I can't be friends with you if you're not going to provide for me. This all came about, the inner turmoil inside of me came about because I relied on another person, another thing outside of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Outside events are always going to happen. People are always going to lose money, whether someone gave you an investment idea or it was your own idea. Even if you asked HaKadosh Baruch Hu 1,000 times, should I do this, should I do this, should I do this, should I do this, and you felt at the end of the day, yeah, I should do it, you still might lose money. People are going to let you down. They're going to promise you things. They're going to let you down. That's always going to happen in life, externally. But the question is always with bitachon, what we're learning here, we're trying to really understand and download, is what's my inner reaction going to be? Who do I really, really rely on? If I rely on myself, I'm limited. If I rely on another human being or a computer, AI, people are starting to rely on AI in that whole world, whatever technology. If you rely on it, you can be let down. The only thing in the world, and this is what we learned since the beginning, that we can never get led down is if you rely on a Kadosh Baruch Hu. And relying on a Kadosh Baruch Hu does not mean getting what you want. Relying on a Kadosh Baruch Hu means believing and trusting in the one who knows everything, who can do everything. Nothing can stop him from what he wants to do, and he always chooses what's best for me in every situation, whether I understand it or I don't understand it, whether I think that I deserve it or I don't deserve it. I just went through like 6 of the 7 conditions. That's it. Then I can always rely on a Kadosh Baruch Hu and say, okay, it looks bad, lost money. It looks bad, this person can't emotionally support me. This looks bad, this kid did this looks bad. If I relied on the kid, if I relied on the parent, if I relied on the spouse, if I relied on the friend, if I relied on the business investment, it's down. If I rely on a Kadosh Baruch Hu and you have true bitachon, okay, I don't understand it. It could look really, really bad, but you'll have what to hold on to. Sometimes you're gonna be really, really down. It's gonna be really hard. Sometimes you're gonna rise above in a way that you couldn't even imagine. That's what we're learning. So the trust is very, very connected to this sugi of das. That's what the Chavos is teaching. Where is my das? It starts as nothing. Then it relies on the mother. Then it relies on the father. Then I become independent. I'm relying on myself. But I'm also fallible. I might also make mistakes, and beat myself up, and then become depressed and like, why can't I? And oh my gosh, a person can beat himself up. We don't even realize. We don't even realize how much each person differently. Some more, some less, beats themselves up, whether it's in Gashmis or Ruchnis or relationships. They have this inner critic that's behind the scenes. You don't even realize it's there. It's just who, because that's your das. I can't explain this right now. But just like I see what everybody sees with their eyes, you see. That's just, I don't think I see. The way that we think is like seeing. That's who we are. How often do I think about, what am I seeing? How do I see? How's my focus? We rarely think like that. I'm thinking about a person. How am I thinking about that person? Meaning, I think about a person. Let's say I'm thinking not nice things about some person because he let me down. I'm thinking, he let me down. The reaction is, I'm thinking badly of him. Right? I'm talking about outside of bitachon. This guy doesn't have bitachon properly. So I'm thinking negatively about this person. Do I ever stop and think, wow, I'm thinking negatively about this person? How am I thinking about this person? Of course, once in a while, I'm sure we do. But we generally not, because that's how I think. Rightfully so. He let me down. I'm allowed to think this way. I'm human. I'm allowed to. So we're pretty much, for 90% of our lives, if not more, we see what we see, we think what we think. We don't think what we see, and we don't think about what we think about. That's who we are. But what we want to do is we want to start to change that. That's what we're trying to do right now, to think about this. Very important to know how your system works. Because whatever our system is, it runs on an automatic. And it could be it's very good. It could be very positive. It could be you're just a nice guy and you're always doing chesed. But at some point it becomes automatic. But do you know what's your automatic system? Do you know that sometimes that automatic system is not appropriate? You're the nice guy, but what happens when people start to take advantage of the nice guy? But you can't stop because you're the nice guy. So you got to keep doing the nice guy stuff. But it's hurting you, but you don't chap that that's what's hurting you. Because your automatic system is be the nice guy, be the nice guy, be the nice guy. Until the person stops and thinks about that system. So what happens sometimes in life, if we don't think about it, so Kadosh Baruch Hu says, I'll make you think about it. That's how Kadosh Baruch Hu speaks to us. So what happens? We start to rely on people. There's the progress of trust. From my parents to myself, somewhat, of course, we don't leave our parents fully. Then it's me and the parents and my abilities, and then I start to realize I have to rely on other people. But then at some point, you're going to realize that you can't rely on people fully because they're deficient as well. And the Kadosh, we're going to make sure that happens. Whether, again, in the myriad of ways that a Kadosh Baruch Hu can make it happen. The goal is to realize, one second, if I'm feeling bad about this person who I relied on, we want the person to realize it's because you didn't rely on a Kadosh Baruch Hu. Not to say, what happens probably 99.9% of the time. A person's not learning bitachon. So he doesn't have the tools of thinking. So what happens? This guy let me down. I don't like you. I'm going to go to you now. It's like little kids. You're not my friend anymore. You're my friend. That's how little kids act, right? You didn't give me the lollipop. I'm not your friend. So I'm going to be your friend. Or siblings. This goes on all the time in my house. I'm sure everybody's experienced this. You're not giving me the toy. I'm not going to be your friend anymore. I'm going to be her friend. Okay, fine. I'll give you the toy. Fine. I'll give you the toy. Yeah, please. Is that how we act as adults? You give me bad investment advice? Fine, I'm done with you. I'm not paying you anymore. I'm going to go to you. Because you made 7% for that guy. So he's going to make it for me. Until he only makes 6.8% for you. Come on, man. You made for 7. I'm not done with you. I'm going to go to the 6.8% guy. And then he's going to make me 6. Or with this doctor, I don't like the way you speak to me. I'm going to this guy. Or we just move from place to person, just moving around. I rely on you, then I rely on you, then you fell me down, I rely on you. That's not the mahalach. The mahalach is we're never supposed to rely on people. Ever. We have another word though. Because you still should go to doctors. You still should go to work. You still should do all the things you need to do. But it's called hishtadlus. It's a huge word if we know what it means. And it's real and it's good and you should do it. Always, whatever shtadlus you do at the same time. The bottom hand, for those who can see me, bottom hand is the shtadlus. Top hand, because it's right, it's our head, it's our higher self, is bitachon. Do they watch? Whether it's business, whether it's davening, is there ever a separation? Never, unless I make the separation. Otherwise, the way it's supposed to be is the shtadlus and bitachon come together. It's the top half. Like the or and the kli. It's the mochen and the midos, depending on whatever language you want to speak. It's the guf and the neshama. For whatever sefer you're holding, and it's the same thing.
Hishtadlus is the raglayim.
Is the
Raglayim.
It's the raglayim. Yeah. The yadayim and the raglayim.
What?
The yadayim and the raglayim.
Yeah.
Whatever, depending which.
It meant the same thing.
Yeah, exactly. Depending which language you speak.
The actual is it. The physical actual.
The F, it doesn't have to be the F or whatever F you put in. So this is what we discussed last week, that when a person starts to realize that people are deficient, so now he's got to move somewhere else. So what we're trying to teach here is make a better move. Don't go side to side anymore, because that's never a lasting plan. It might last for a month, it might last for a year, it might last for 5 years sometimes, depending on what. But that's not the goal. The goal is to always move up. Not in hishtadlus, but in bitachon. So this we're holding on 244. When his understanding develops and he sees those people's deficiencies, he sees how humans too are in need of the Creator's kindness. 244. Nothing happens without a Kadosh Baruch Hu's decision, which is always his kindness. He will then turn to rely on him. So this person, he's working with his das, right? The das is I'm smart. So first I relied on this, then I relied on that, then I see, this guy, people, humans are deficient. I'm now going to use my das to rely on a Kadosh Baruch Hu. This is a huge opening, because there's always going to be, let's read another one. Oh, I didn't even read the Hebrew. For those who appreciate the lashon of the Chavos Levavos, v'shetechzak hakaroso v'yira chesronan v'tzarkam elabori yisbarach yoshiv bitchano elav yismoch alav b'inyanim she'ein lo yecholas b'hem v'lo yuchal himalit v'himaser b'am el gezer sabor. So when his understanding develops, and he sees those people's deficiencies, he sees how humans too are in need of a Creator's kindness, he will then turn to rely on him, on a Kadosh Baruch Hu. So this is good, because now in his own das, he's getting to the highest level of das, which is, I don't know. And when I don't know, it doesn't just mean me, and therefore I should ask this person who does know. It's humans don't know. The human race doesn't know. Who does know? Kadosh Baruch Hu knows. Tachlis hayediyah asher lo neidah. The point of yediyah, of das, we have to become smarter people in this world. But we have to get to the point where we're so smart that we believe and trust in Hashem's smartness and not my own smartness. That's where Amunah takes over, right? My das is limited. I'm now going to believe and trust in das Hashem. To make that leap, that's called Amunah. right? Because I'm not going to be able to speak to Kadosh Baruch Hu like I speak to my business investor. I can't just call him up where it's going to be that kind of conversation where it's easy and flowing, and I say words and I hear words back, and it's how humans interact. There is a similar way to speak to Kadosh Baruch Hu, but it's not as open in the world of Gashmias, if that's where we live. From going from Gashmias and speaking to people to speaking to Kadosh Baruch Hu is a very different thing. But if we work on our Emunah Bitachon, we'll realize that it's not so different. It just needs training. It needs belief. It needs Bitachon training. And over time, you can get better at it. I think everybody here has tried it in certain ways and came to the realization, again, not that I'm going to get what I want, but I'll be calm, tranquil, because I'm trusting in the Kadosh Baruch Hu. Now, when a person opens up, he starts to break from his own das and realize that there's really the das Hashem. That's the ikr. But it's a slow process. Because I'm always trying to hold on. I'm going to hold on to my das as long as I can because that's who I am. That's what I know. There are some situations where I can't do anything. My friends can't. It's just not happening. In that case, he starts to rely on Kadosh Baruch Hu. Good, not good, and also going to be dangerous. It's good because you're turning to a Kadosh Baruch Hu. It's not good because, I forgot what I was thinking.
It's not the healthy relationship.
It's not good if we get, not good and dangerous. There was something I had in between, but we'll see how a person can get stuck. But let's see. So now, the Chavos says, so he will then turn to rely on him, on a Kadosh Baruch Hu. However, at first, he will rely on him only for those matters that are beyond the human's control, and for which he has no choice other than to hand them over to the Creator and to place his trust in him to take care of them. So a person has, lo aleinu, someone's sick in the family, lo aleinu, the money is just like, it's beyond, we're really in negative. Nobody can help. No doctors know the answer. So then he turns to a Kadosh Baruch Hu. Good. He's turning to a Kadosh Baruch Hu. Not great because he waited so long to turn to him. Right? He's still trying to hold on to his das as long as possible. Then when he can't, at least he's breaking into a Kadosh Baruch Hu. At least. It's still good. But again, it's behind the 8 ball. But the way we often start with very often, and people get stuck in this for their whole life, is that the Emunah Bitachon, turning to Kadosh Baruch Hu, is when we need a big miracle. As long as I can do something, not only am I going to do it, which might be appropriate in Hishtadlis, but again, until we get to this, until we work through the das properly, when I do, or when he does for me, that also comes with reliance. I'm doing, so I rely on my doing. I'm going to the doctor, I'm going to rely on the doctor. It comes hand in hand. What we're trying to do now for the first time, we're trying to break that. I still have to go to the doctor, but I'm going to rely on the Kadosh Baruch Hu because all the doctors, 5 out of 6, all the doctors told me this there's nothing to do. Lo aleinu, or whatever the situation, doesn't have to be so tragic. But a situation where it's not, doesn't seem like there's a possible reality. I'll try to do what I could do, but Kadosh Baruch Hu, I got to rely on you now. So again, of course, it's building das appropriately because you're turning to Kadosh Baruch Hu at some point, but still low level. See, this is where I think I haven't spoken about this in a long time, but I think we'll speak about it in an appropriate way. The books that have come out, now hopefully things have changed. I don't buy them usually, so I don't know. But like the miracle type books where everything works out, which we haven't spoken about in a while, which we said at the beginning is against this shita. There might be a shita that goes with. That's why who am I to say, don't read them. It just doesn't go with the shita. The miracle books don't go with the shita of the Chavos because it doesn't always work out the way you want it. See, that's the problem. The problem is miracles, all those books, all the miracles that happen, that thing to happen to this thing to that, and just worked out, is that a Kadosh Baruch Hu? 100%. Of course it's a Kadosh Baruch Hu. I'm not denying that. Kadosh Baruch Hu is the Almighty. He's the omniscient, the omnipresent. He can do everything. Every time. He always is he's pulling all the cards, whatever. Of course he's doing, of course. But that's only one tiny, minuscule das or bitachon in the Kadosh Baruch Hu. And people get stuck there. And therefore they will try to continue to do what they can do for their whole life, relying on everybody and everything until their mom is broken. Then they turn to a Kadosh Baruch Hu. But at that point, it's not really bitachon. It's yesh.
Is that the same thing for like segulas?
Sometimes. Yeah. I'm not gonna say every single one. I'm not, but sometimes that's what it is. It's a move of yesh. It's not a move of bitachon. Could there be a person? Of course, there's exceptions. I'm not. Who am I to tell everybody what they are? I don't know what they are. But if a person's honest, if you're only turned to a Kadosh Baruch Hu as a last resort, it's not a strong move for sure in bitachon, and it might be again a move of yesh. Like I have no other hope. I'll turn to Kadosh Baruch Hu. That's when I'll go to maybe the segulas, or I'll go to all the rebbes, and I'll go to the kvarim. Okay, a good thing, yes, but dangerous, because if that's how you see bitachon, if you think that you're Baal bitachon when you're really a meyayish or very close to it, that could be a dangerous thing, because now you're mixing pipes. Now you're mixing, right? So far, so good. Am I triggering anybody, or we're okay? Waiting for Chaim's gonna have something. You're building up. You're building it up. What? It's building. Oh, there you go. I gotta poke him once.
Sorry.
That's good. That's good. Yeah.
No, I think a very practical way is every morning when we stand in Shaar HaBitachon, we say to Hashem, "You're the one who heals." Just to add in the word "only," meaning you're the only one that heals. Sometimes we say, "Oh, you give parnasa," but in the back of our mind, it's like, okay, but it could come from different ways. Just, I think that's a big part of that.
We're training ourselves to this.
Yeah, and getting into that zone of like, okay, Hashem, you're the one that provides parnasa. We're saying, "Please, Baruch Aleinu, please provide," and you're the only one. You're the only source that provides.
Listen, that's what we have to do. We're learning it.
The bracha.
The bracha. That's what the bracha really means.
That's what the bracha.
That's what it means. We just don't say it like that. And I would suggest also, besides Shemana Esrei, I'm saying 100%, that during the day, not all the brachas, pick one that, lo aleinu, you shouldn't be going through any of them, that you need that personally, but if you are, that's clearly the one you should deal with. If there's a sickness somewhere, in the vicinity, if there's a parnasa issue somewhere in the vicinity, you know which bracha to start working on, but not that you're just getting what you want, that you're coming to rely on a Kadosh Baruch Hu. Avad, I'm going to do my shtadlus a Kadosh Baruch Hu, and this and that, but I want it to really, really settle in. It's only you. Anything that happens, positive or negative, it's you. I trust you, but just pound it in. There's no tricks here. And it's not supposed to be tricks. We're just rewiring our system again and again and again. We have to have the knowledge. Chavzos is teaching us intellectually what is true, and then it's on us to do our hishtadlis to get it in. Shemana Esrei, speak to Kadosh Baruch Hu during the day, daven for the bitachon, all acts of hishtadlis. At the end of the day, whatever bitachon you get to, the actual madrega of bitachon, Kadosh Baruch Hu decides. Because whatever madrega you get to is an effect. Remember, let's go back to Perek Dalet, fourth Perek. All man can ever do is hishtadlis. Never in the history of creation has any man ever actually made an effect on anything. It looks like it. Well, I took my fist and I punched and it hit the guy in the face. How could you say that wasn't me? The hishtadlis was you, but HaKadosh Baruch Hu allowed that. He decided that should happen. You're still chayiv. You still have to pay money. You did the hishtadlis, so you're obligated in the world of Gashmias and Olam Hazeh. You did the hishtadlis. You did the crime. You did the time. You do the crime. Do the time. Whatever it is. Thank you. The lawyer here knows. But at the end of but bitachon, the Kadosh Baruch Hu decided.
I think actually that's the problem with the miracle books. Not so much that everything will work out. Hashem's going to make it. It's actually when Hashem does give us a glimpse into things working out, we could actually delude ourselves into thinking that that's actually the whole story. The ending of the miracle story is not the whole story. There's an infinitely much bigger picture that we're not aware of. So it's important to keep that in mind, even when seemingly things work out right now in this moment. But that's not what this is about. something way bigger that we're not aware of.
Yeah, and we discussed that in another parak where Kadosh Baruch Hu decides everything from the beginning of history to this event.
Yeah.
The whole big picture is part of bitachon.
And Shabbos is also thanking Hashem.
After the fact.
Listen, like,
Sure.
things do work out. You know,
But true, the more you have true bitachon, the more your Hakaras Tov and your Hodah is it's gonna be much more in your heart.
Well, they also thanking Hashem. You know, so it goes both ways.
Even for the rough things, if you can get to that metric. Okay. So now we know we're holding here. So the guy is working on his das is getting better because he's even allowing HaKadosh Baruch Hu in. But we're still not there, right? We're still in level 6. There's 10 levels, I think? 10 levels. Okay. Right. Again, just very clear. The miracle books, they're okay, but remember, they're only conditioned 1 out of 7. Because what do the miracle books teach us? Kadosh Baruch Hu could do anything he wants and no one can stop him. Good, true. But there's 6 other conditions that we have to believe in. Weiter 245. They bring some examples. Chavos Vos bring some examples of this. Kamo Yeridas HaGesham Al Zeriya, V'halichas Hayam, V'halichas HaMidbaros, Me'in Mayim, U'bevo Shetef, U'ben Fol HaDever B'chayim, V'adom Elazem En Hanyam Asher Ein B'hem Adam Shum Tachbula B'Shum Pan. He relies on God for the rain to come at the time of sowing. He realizes there's Adam Rishon already, right back at the beginning. Adam Rishon realized nothing's growing. Rain, you need it to rain. I can't control the rain. I need to daven. I need to have bitachon. The Kadosh Baruch Hu, that's going to happen. The farmers are the big one, the Bal bitachon to do it right. A trip at sea, even nowadays, not pashut. Travel in the desert where there's no water, a flood, things that are totally out of our control. This is where the person starts to rely on the Kadosh Baruch Hu. When there's a plague of pestilence, some COVID, and for similar matters, but we saw what happened to people. That was a big eye opener for those. I mean, we were in the middle of learning, no? We've been doing this for a long time. How long ago was that? No, it was after me. It was post COVID.
Yeah.
This learning was a response to that. Because people were losing themselves.
6 years ago.
Right, and Rebbe said, right, it was by post Simchas Torah or something. The only answer is bitachon. Because people realized they relied on this, they relied on that, they relied on the doctors, they relied on this, that, and they relied on toilet paper being on the shelves. Remember, we had a lot of those.
We relied on science.
We relied on a lot of things, and it came crashing down. And people, I still see people wearing masks. I don't know about you, I still see it. That was never before. Now, they might not be scared of COVID, but they're scared of the cold. Anyway, they should all be well, and they're probably all healthy and everything, but we shouldn't have to wear masks. Anyway, unless it's perm. Perm's coming up, that's a different story. But the person's starting to rely on Kadosh Baruch Hu in all these big, massive ways. Someone is very, very sick, and the doctor said there's no chance, or there's a massive problem in the economy, or this person's business, or whatever. Kadosh Baruch Hu, you're the only hope. Where there's and for similar matters regarding which a person has no means whatsoever with which to save him from them. But again, we have to be so important, so clear in this, and we because a lot of people are holding in this level, number 6. Right, we're relying on people a little bit, but we know that they're fallible, so we've kind of shifted a little bit to Kadosh Baruch Hu. We're like in the middle over here. We rely on people, rely on Hashem, a little behind the 8 ball for the big things. But we have to remember, even if we're going to be at this level, we're relying on Kadosh Baruch Hu in these big inyanim that seems to be I have no control over. Remember to actually rely on Him and not just to be miyayish and fall upon Him in that way. I think it's a big, big difference. I think people think that they have bitachon. When they went to every other doctor, when they went to every other business, when they went to every other thing, and again, only then they turned to Kadosh Baruch Hu. If they turned to Him the whole time, and they went to the doctors, that's fine. That's bitachon. You're supposed to do that. And then when the doctors say there's nothing to do, and they daven even 10 times harder, that's part of their bitachon. Now their hishtadlus is only to daven. So instead of putting the focus and the time and the energy into going to doctors, again, whatever the situation is, they put all their focus and energy into davening. They go to Eretz Yisrael and they go to the Kavarm. That might be mamish bitachon, because that's my hishtadlus. And if a Kadosh Baruch Hu wants to be, it'll be. But if you didn't turn to a Kadosh Baruch Hu, really, and the whole time you're really focusing your energy and your time and your efforts and your reliance on other people, other things, other avenues, and only when it starts to get really bleak, that then you start to pick up, well, maybe I should daven, maybe I should go to a farm or something. If that's what you're holding, fine, but try to make sure that it's bitachon, and not just, again, a last resort, yeyish, Hail Mary. That's not what we want. We don't want a Kodesh Baruch Hu to be a Hail Mary. Because sometimes you'll say, well, and I said it before, it's better than nothing. Yes, but maybe no. True. You're relying on you turn to Kodesh Baruch Hu, but you might come to think that that's how it works. And that's not how it works. And if it doesn't work out, you might get represented at Kodesh Baruch Hu. And if it does work out, you might continue the same flawed program again and again. This is what it is here. This person relies on himself and on others when it comes to something for which he knows that no one else can help him, such as a flood or a plague, he turns to rely on God. The author cites a verse describing such a person. It says in Yirmiyahu Navi, as it says, Yirmiyahu says, and at the time of their misfortune, they say, arise and save us. Which is always how Kadosh Baruch Hu did it, how we lived in Nach, which is a crazy thing. A lot, I don't know the numbers of Klal Yisrael, but it seems to be every single time everything's good, then we start sinning, then Hashem sends an enemy, then we wake up and we say, oh, save us. And it happens again and again and again and again and again.
It's not that different how we live today.
No. But what the Torah is teaching us and the Tanakh is teaching us is not what the tzaddikim were doing. It's telling you what the Rovam was doing. And the Rovam of then is still the Rovam of now. But then you're subject to all the fear and all the stress and all the anxiety. But Moshe Rabbeinu wasn't living like that. Mordechai Tzaddik wasn't living like that. The tzaddikim weren't living like that. And I'm sure there was not just the big ones. I'm sure they had a Talmidim and they had Talmidim who were trying to help the people and say, no, it's going to be okay. It was the Hamonam, the regular people who weren't steiging in Bitachon, in Amunah. They were the ones who were always nervous, and then that's why Hashem sent the fear factor. But I'm sure there's many Jews who were not distraught as much. So that's where we want to be holding. Getting back.
Is or level 2?
We have not yet spoken about. Well, I gave a share. We gave a share around. Maybe it was Hanukkah time. There was one share we gave. Maybe it was more than that, but in this whole cycle where we discussed this level 2 bitachon, which we have not yet really discussed. So I don't know what to talk about. I think I do want to speak about it after we're done. Maybe I'm not sure because there is such a madrega. The Chashmonaim, Mordechai
Tzaddik said
we're going to be good. So that's really the madrega of the tzaddikim. And we could also be tzaddikim, but you have to also work on level 1 first, I think. But I think we should talk about it, we should speak about it, but it's dangerous to speak about that too early, because then you start to rely on the miracles.
Is that a Klal Yoker thing?
Wow.
Meaning, when Mordechai said it, he says, as a Klal, or as a everybody's going to be...
He said it.
I'm saying he said it as it pertains to the of Yisrael, but each individual person, right?
The point is that he said it, and he believed it. That's the point.
Okay, I don't want to be more.
Can we get to that place? It's usually not a klal thing. Meaning, the commas, the amount of people are not usually saying it like a large majority. Even the Chashmonaim who lived it went to battle against. It was how many of them? 7, 6. You don't have all. However, now that you're talking, I'm thinking more and more. I don't know if I've ever seen this before, but you see in Tanakh very often, whenever these situations happened, where people were sinning and they were distant from a Kadosh Baruch Hu, and the Kadosh Baruch Hu sends an enemy, pick an enemy, and then the people have to cry out to Kadosh Baruch Hu, and then they come to fight. I have to do a real analysis. From the little that I know of Tanakh, almost every time that Klal Yisrael has to go into battle, there's like there's a clause that forces them to love some level of Emunah Bitachon. Fasting before going to war. That was a thing. We see that by Shaul, Yonasan son was fasting, that he didn't know that where they were supposed to fast, and he ate. For those who know Tanakh, with the honey. But who fasts? Sorry, losing my voice here. I get all excited. Who fasts before going to war? It's the craziest thing in the world.
It's the opposite.
You not like mamish, but like be normal, Bring water with you. Can you imagine? I need a drink of water after I run 50 feet. They're fighting with sword. But HaKadosh Baruch Hu forced them to realize, even though they're going to go to battle, if they would just go to battle and then Hashem would make it win and just a miracle, then they just go back to the same old thing, which they did. But at least do something that's out of the normal. We just had the Shiras Devora last week's after. Only, 1,000 men from Zvulun. Why don't you just take all of Klal Yisrael? We had so many more warriors. Now, only this exact number, because the point is that when HaKadosh Baruch Hu allows us to win, people should realize this was not man-made. Because 1,000 people shouldn't be able to win. People who are fasting shouldn't be able to win. It must be a HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And the goal is that then they take that home with them and they live with that emunah and bitachon. Doesn't always happen. Sometimes we get stuck in the miracles. This is one of the biggest problems. We'll continue probably next week, but this is one of the problems, not the problems, one of the issues that we have to speak about, is that when you see in the Torah, Eser Makos, Kriyas Yamsuf, Man, when the miracles were happening, they're okay. The second the miracles stop, they're complaining. And the tachlis is that from the big miracles, to realize that Kadosh Baruch Hu runs the world, is that everything is Him. That's what we're going to discuss next week. That's the point, to get into Eretz Yisrael that way. But before they got there, we'll discuss next week, from the miracle of Eser Makos to the big miracle of Kriyas Yamsuf, it can't be us. It has to be Kadosh Baruch Hu. That's what we're holding. Right now we're holding by Kriyas Yamsuf. Right? Because we were in Mitzrayim, we were slaves, we didn't know anything. What are we going to do? Kadosh Baruch Hu says, look at me, I'll show you this Rebbeinu Shalom. Let's break open your das. Come see me, come learn about me. That was the whole tachlis of Eser Makos. Then we leave Mitzrayim, we're all, we got out, Yad Ramah, we're all excited. Hashem says, we're going to have some lessons here in the Midbar. And He sends Mitzrayim after us, and we freak out. We go, now, if I was there, I'd probably also be screaming. But why would Kadosh Baruch Hu do that? Because He wants people to realize it's only Him. Turn around to the whole nation. Go towards Mitzrayim. What? You crazy? And now they're stuck between a Yamsuf and right between a rock and a hard place. Why? Because Kadosh Baruch Hu says, I'm lesson number one, Kriyas Yamsuf. Nothing can stop me. Nothing can stop me. But if that's, and then people walk through and they're all happy. But if that's all your emunah bitachon is on, the big miracles, what happens when there's no water for 3 days? Now, again, if I was there, I don't know if I'd have the emunah bitachon. We're not judging them. But the first test, they get out of the water. Hashem just made a miracle. The water split. Water. And now there's no water in the desert, and they start to complain. Again, the Hamanah, maybe the Erev Rav, maybe there's some people who believed in a Kadosh Baruch Hu. But then they fell. And then we'll see, as they go through the Midbar, Kadosh Baruch Hu is teaching them lessons and madrigas. Next week in Mitzvah, we'll be talking about the Man probably, and maybe Mount Torah, until we get to Eretz Yisrael, which is just bitachon in the Kadosh Baruch Hu. And that's what we're living today. There's no more open miracles anymore. So unless you learn from the open miracles and how to bring it into your own life, then you're going to be waiting a long time for those open miracles. And once in one in a million, once in a blue moon it hits, that's just a trick. When those miracles happen and the miracle books happen, it's a trick. Is it a Kadosh Baruch Hu? 100% it's a Kadosh Baruch Hu. But it's not supposed to, then you're not supposed to just rely on that. You're supposed to see the bigger picture and realize that He's in everything. And we'll continue with this.